Hello and welcome to Crumbs Doilies HQ. Now normally January is really long and boring, but Veganuary is making it a lot more exciting, so I hope you're getting your vegan baking on and I hope you've been enjoying the recipes up until now. Today I've got a really good one. This is going to be a good one for a party because it's a big cake and it is a lovely, rich, moist, decadent, vegan chocolate cake. Ooh, it's going to be so nice. So it's very simple, but obviously there's a lot of substitutions here. The thing about my baking is that I like to make things that taste just as good as regular cake, whether it's gluten-free or vegan. That's kind of how I like to roll and how we like to roll here at Crumbs Doilies. So for that reason, this is just a whole new recipe and it is delicious. So to start with, I'm going to get my soya milk ready. So I've got my soya milk in a jug here and I'm going to add my cider vinegar. So there's 480 millilitres of soya milk and then 2 teaspoons of vinegar, and I'm just going to give that a little whisk just to make sure it's all mixed in. And that'll just thicken up ever so slightly, almost to a kind of buttermilk consistency, and we're going to put that to one side until we need it later. And get on with the next bit, which is to beat the butter and sugar together. So I'm using sunflower spread. You can use whatever vegan spread you like. I prefer the flavour of sunflower. So I'm going to pop that into my bowl using my spatula. So there's 240 grams of that, and I'm going to add 400 grams of caster sugar and also a teaspoon of good quality vanilla extract. And as I usually do with my other some of my other big cake sponge recipes, I'm going to beat that for about 5 minutes until it's really pale and fluffy. So this has had about 5 minutes now and it's looking really lovely and soft. Now it's pale and fluffy, but not in the same way that regular butter and sugar will go. This is a bit softer because obviously the spread has a lower melting temperature, but this is just right. And now it's time to get the dry ingredients together. So with a normal cake, this point would be the time that you put the eggs in, but obviously we don't want to put eggs in. Eggs are from chickens and they're not vegan. Well, the chickens are vegan, maybe. But anyway, you're vegan and you don't want to eat eggs. So what we're going to do is we're going to alternate our wet bit, which is the soya milk, which is kind of thickened now, and our dry ingredients. So I've got my soya milk here, which is thickened up to kind of like a thin buttermilk consistency. And now I'm going to sift all my dry ingredients together. So I have my self-raising flour here, and I've got 430 grams of that. And then I've got 60 grams of cocoa powder. And then I have a tablespoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So once that's all through the sieve, you can then add it to your butter and sugar mixture, but we're going to add it alternately. So the way you want to do this is start with the dry, go to wet, then more dry, then wet, and always end on dry. And the whole time you're mixing this, you want to make sure it's on the lowest speed possible, just so it folds through gently and you're not knocking all the air out. Right, that's looking all mixed in. Now, it does look a little bit odd. If you're not used to vegan baking, this might look like you've done it wrong. Do not fear, you've not done it wrong. It's a very strange sort of loose moussey consistency, and that is absolutely as it should be, so don't freak out. It's really, I kind of want to eat it just on its own. It reminds me of a pudding, like, you know, like chocolate pudding from when you were a kid. So you want to distribute this between your 4 7-inch cake tins. I've just greased mine, but feel free to line them as well, and just an even amount in each one. So once you've levelled all your cake batter, you then need to bake this at 170 degrees C for about 25 to 28 minutes. And the same rule as regular baking applies. If you want to check it, you stick a skewer in the middle, and if it comes out clean, it's ready. So my cakes are cooled down and I have actually already trimmed and leveled them off in the usual way, just using a cake leveler. You have to be very careful with this sponge. While it's really moist and fluffy and yummy, it's also really fragile. So do that very carefully, and anytime you're handling it, just be super careful that you're not kind of picking a bit up and then flopping off. So yeah, really careful. So I've got my turntable here with a nice marble board on it, and as usual, to start with, I'll use a little bit of vegan buttercream to stick it on with. Now, the buttercream I'm using is based on my recipe from a couple of weeks back. It's the chocolate one, obviously, because this is a rich, moist, decadent chocolate cake. So go ahead and check that video out. I'll put a link to that down there and up there. So with my first bit on now, I'm going to fill it and crumb coat it, but again, you want to be super careful and really gentle with your application of buttercream because this is very, very crummy. Because this sponge is quite a lot more fragile than a regular sponge because it's super moist, I'm actually using one of these smaller cranked palette knives rather than the bigger ones I normally use, just because it gives me a lot more control and I can be really, really gentle with my application, kind of pushing the buttercream on rather than spreading it around. So as you can see, I've put on way loads of icing, but that is just like a safety precaution. And now I'm going to use my cake scraper, which hopefully you've all got by now, just to take away some of the excess, but gently still. Right, so that is fully crumb coated, so I'm just going to pop this into the fridge for probably about an hour. It takes a little bit longer to firm up so that it's nice and ready for the final coat. Okay, so this has been in the fridge for about an hour. It's lovely and firm and it's ready to be finished off with a final coating of lovely vegan chocolate buttercream and a bit of decoration. And there it is, my finished, delicious, moist, rich vegan chocolate cake, ready for you guys to bake at home. And if you do, make sure you take a picture of it and put it on Instagram using the hashtag Cupcake Jemma so that I can see it. Oh, can't wait to eat this. Don't forget to check out my other vegan recipes from Veganuary. I hope you enjoy them all. Even if you're not vegan, please give them a go. You'll be really, really surprised. And if you haven't checked out our website already at Crumbs Doilies, please go check that out because we have so many vegan options now available to order. So you should do it if you can. And I'm just going to eat this now. So I'll see you later, guys. Bye. good one. I ain't lying. You can't have none, no.
Oh.
It's for me.
Oh.
All of it.
Just have a little bit.
No.
Just a tiny bit.
No.
Shall we just have a bite?
No, it's mine.
Just one bit.
I want it all.
No.
Hang on.